Greetings, beautiful soul, and welcome to my budding food forest. I am residing on the unceded lands of the Raramuri First Peoples here in the Sierra Madre Occidentales Mountains in Mexico. And that's a lot of words for saying I finally got to live out in the country after spending my whole adult life in cities, pursuing the capitalist dream, working for corporations, living in apartments, and all of those things. And in each place I had a little special garden that I created, whether that was on my balcony or in my backyard or just in a little niche next to the driveway. I was always reaching and searching for my connection to the natural world. It's just a part of who I am as an earth empath. And you may resonate for that as well if you feel nature as if you are one. And here's the clue: you are one. You are nature. You are not separate from nature. But so much of our modern lifestyle pulls us away. We are online, which is beautiful and connective, and it's like a mycelium network for the globe. However, we can get in there and we can see the shadow side of humanity and our darkest, deepest inclinations. And it can be extremely dysregulating for people like us, people who are sensitive, empathic, intuitive. We notice everything and we think deeply and we feel so deeply from the heart for plants, for animals, for our environment, but maybe we don't really know how to begin. We don't know how to create a nature centered life. We don't know how to move from maybe a career where you're selling widgets or helping someone get rich, who's not you, by the way, and moving yourself into something where you can experience true abundance, where you can sit next to your tomatillo plant or your beautiful oak that we have here, and you feel in that oneness on a daily basis. And this is not quick and it is not always easy. There are peaks and valleys to this experience, my friend. There are times when you are going to make a lot of progress and maybe you'll be able to save money, or maybe you get a chance to buy land, or perhaps you're able to work and connect with someone in an intentional community. And that feels really good for you. You can go and you can kind of test out what it's like to live this immersive lifestyle. But it takes time and it's a slow pace. And it happens like the seasons. Just as the earth has its seasons, we have time when the ground is fallow and it sits quiet and silent. There's a lot going on underneath. All of the microorganisms and biodiversity under there is busy, composting and creating nutrients and pulling them up from the dredges of the soil so that we can access those at the top of our consciousness and the top of our soil layer. Sometimes we are in that sprouting kind of energy. You know what I'm talking about. When you have a really amazing idea, or all of a sudden you start to get this burst of energy. Maybe you move in cycles with the seasons, or with the cycles of the moon, or astrological events like eclipses or equinoxes. But you have a sprout. I have some little sprouts right in front of me here. They're about this big. They just came up. We've had monsoon rains coming in here in Mexico, and everything is green and everything is sprouting. And it's so exciting. I've been going around snapping photographs of everything to try to identify all the plants and the level of biodiversity in my region. Maybe you're in the reaping, the harvest. You've been working really hard. You've been moving towards your goals bit by bit by bit. And now you're starting to see it come to fruition. You have more direct contact with the natural world. The work you're doing in for your employer or as an entrepreneur is starting to really focus in on one of the most existential challenges of our lifetime, and not only our lifetime but for 7 generations to come, is how will we deal with the change in our climate? How will we deal with the heating of our oceans, the heating of our atmosphere? How will we respond? Will we continue down a road of sort of techno feudalism and everything being automated? Will we go back to a simpler time? Not a conservative time, not a time when people didn't have rights, but a time when we knew how to grow our own food, when we gathered in smaller communities, when agriculture was more regional and it was quicker from farm to table than mass produced. So these are the choices that we're making in the harvest. And the choices we make now, individually and as a collective, are going to make a huge impact on what our world looks like for my niece, for my sister, for those who will come beyond me. And then sometimes we're in the canopy layer. We've really settled in, we've really spent some time gaining some level of mastery or expertise, whether that's creating food forests, whether that's regenerative agriculture, whether that's ocean conservation, whether that's writing, teaching, theater. There's many, many ways that you can be a part of this green consciousness movement. And I'm inviting women and non-binary people and neurodivergent folks and all the people like me to come into our community, to gather together, to do some net weaving where we find our commonalities and our similarities, and we also learn from other people's perspectives. We have live conversations which are deep and meaningful, and coaching right there in the group for you to connect with, to build it no matter which of those seasons you're at, whether you're in the follow ground and you're doing that rest and that restoration and that integration period, or you're doing that sprouting and you have these new ideas and you need some people to bounce those ideas off of, and maybe some people to connect you to resources and vice versa. Or maybe you're in that harvest now, you're really busy and you're involved and you're out there and you're doing this work, whether it's a volunteer, whether it's as your work position, whether it's something you feel really passionate about as a cause and you're donating your time or energy or resources to. And then we have this canopy layer where you feel connected enough and ready to perhaps encourage and inspire other people to come into this nature centered lifestyle and career. And why is this so important for us right now? Well, that's a great question. In addition to climate change being one of our existential challenges, we have lost our way in this very high tech world. And I love technology. I'm using it right now to speak with you and have this conversation. But we have lost our way, our sense of being so close to nature as we became more industrialized, as we became more of an information age. We started to realize that information is not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is authentic connection, being able to be seen and heard and witnessed, being able to say, I see nature spirits in rocks and trees, or I am able to communicate with animals and I know their language and I read their body language and I can speak even their verbal language. It's about admitting to yourself what your natural gifts are. Maybe you're great at growing plants. You throw a seed in some soil and boom, you can grow anything. Everyone who comes into this community is going to have a different set of strengths. And I have my strengths, you have your strengths, and millions and billions of Earth empaths around the world also have their strengths. And so, therefore, we don't need to feel like, well, working in climate change or working on the restoring the environment, it's such a massive, massive project. I don't even know where to begin. I'm just paralyzed by this idea of changing my life and being a steward of nature, being a nature goddess, if you will. I don't even know where to begin and how to do that. Well, there are, in addition to those seasons, a few different pathways that you can take. And everyone who works with nature does not have to be a scientist or scientifically trained, although if that's your jam and your vibe, there's lots of space and lots of opportunity for you. But there's space for creatives, there's space for analytical people to look at data. There's so much data coming out right now, for example, around the condition of the world's forests. So if you jam out on looking at all of that and analyzing all of that, there's space for you. If you want to teach environmental education to the next generations so that it becomes a part of their curriculum in elementary and middle and secondary school, high school, that could be a pathway for you. If you love taking people into the forest and doing forest therapy and really helping people just sit and just be, then perhaps the green consciousness movement is for you. So there's many different pathways, but this can be very isolating when you are so sensitive to the natural world, when you read environmental news and it just breaks your heart. When you can feel the pain of an animal or you know that a plant isn't healthy and you want to help it, you need this support system, right? Trying to do all this on your own feels very disconnected. You don't know what other people are doing. You don't know how much progress is being made in other sectors and other aspects. And once you can have those conversations and get exposed to all of these new ideas, then your particular life purpose as a nature centered life, as a nature centered career, starts to stop being so foggy, to use a nature metaphor, and begins to come into clarity, right? Sharp focus. It's like being towards the middle of the mountain and there's a big fog all the way around, and you're trying to climb and you can't see where you're going, and then all of a sudden you break through and you're standing on the top and you can see all the vistas around you. And this is a part of what we're building here in this community. This is a new community. I am not new to community organizing. I have been working with and running communities for highly sensitive people and intuitive empaths for 13 years now. This is the next generation of my canopy work, of my teaching, of my passing on this information, this love, this passion. I hope you can hear it in my voice for being connected with our planet, with the birds, the fungi, the the insects, the lizards, all the different beings that are here. And this is vitally important, my friends. We can either have a life where we continue to have an appropriate level of technology, and almost every human knows how to grow their own food. They understand permaculture. They understand, the rights of nature and of animals. We start to change and shift the mindset because it's not just a matter of capturing carbon and sequestering that down into the earth. I'm sure you've heard of that, right? The ocean is our largest carbon capture, and then forests as a second. But it's about capturing minds, right? Because a lot of people do not believe climate change is real. They don't believe there's problems, even though 75% of the land that humans reside on is degraded in some way, shape, or form. People don't know how bad it actually is. People don't know the fragile balance for our species. And honestly, my friends, it really is a matter of human survival. If we do not take this other path, um, then we're not sure where we're going to end up. But we've seen a lot of sci fi movies that tell us maybe some possibilities around that. And those things are not acceptable. We want community, we want a sense of collaboration. We want people to work and live and build societies in rhythm with the natural world, not fighting against it, not imposing or dominating on top of it. So, if this really lights you up, if you're just getting a big yes to everything I'm talking about right now, if you have felt in similar ways and you are looking for that support system, a place where you can belong, a place where you can come back to and share your triumphs and also your learnings from things you've tried and it didn't quite work out as you wanted, We are here for you. We are here for you. This is a global community. It's an inclusive community. We are spiritually open, and we love to have you join us and give us a try and see if it's your vibe. See if nature might be your life purpose. And if you've had that little voice inside of you for a really long time saying, this is not it, what we're doing right now is not it. Well, try something new. See what it is because you are nature. You are not separate from, you are part of the oneness. We are here to be a part of that oneness to build this new life, this new world um, in the age of Aquarius, where we are not in a duality anymore, like in Pisces. We are pouring from the same jug of humanity. All humans are equal. Food and water and shelter and medical care and safety and belonging are human rights. And we recognize those as such. We recognize that nature and all of its organisms are equal to humans. We are one of many, many species on this planet, but not the only. We are one of the most important. We are a keystone species, and we need to make those right decisions now. So if you feel called to be a part of this green consciousness movement, I welcome you. It's so wonderful to meet you. I hope that we get to meet in other parts of my garden and other contexts and inside this community. I welcome you in. The door is open. Pásale.